I just want to fucking die. And he's a dude. It's a dude, of course. You don't see too many women, you know, wanting to die, or if they do, they don't ever follow through with it. But I thought men and women were equal. Really? If you ladies were equal, you would manage to kill yourself as often as men. Oh, we can do just as good a job as a man. Anything he can do, we can do better. Apparently, you can't kill yourselves as well. Apparently, you can't fucking pull that off. How hard is it? Tie a rope around your neck, jump off the fucking balcony. Problem solved. No, you get a pussyfoot around it, right? Make those little hesitation cuts on your wrist. Yeah. And then you don't do it. Ouch! That hurts. Meanwhile, the guy's jumping off a balcony. It's jumping off a bridge. Hits the fucking water so hard it's like landing on concrete. Yeah. That's follow through, baby. That's commitment. Why can't you ladies achieve equality? What's a negative outcome? We only want equality when it's a positive outcome. Oh, okay. Anyway, before I get into this story, I would like to ask those of you out there who like and appreciate the raw and red-pilled nature of my content to please consider going and checking out my website, therealistphilosopher.com. That is therealistphilosopher.com, and considering making a donation by clicking on that donate button in the upper right-hand corner, yo. There's 3 ways you can donate. 1, a little bit of Bitcoin to my Bitcoin wallet address. Number 2, sending donations directly to my Cash App, which is a free and anonymous way to send funds between individuals. And then there's my Patreon, which is a per-piece platform. I make about 8 pieces a month, so donate $1. That's $8 a month, 50 cents, $4 a month. And by the way, you get a lot of perks if you are a contributor to my content creation. So go check that out, therealistphilosopher.com/donate. That is therealistphilosopher.com/donate. Also consider going and checking out my website to follow me on all my social media platforms. Okay, so this poor guy says, I just want to fucking die. So the title, I just want to fucking die. I mean it. My mom and her boyfriend abused me to no end. Well, the reason I'm making this, usually when I talk about these relationship Reddit stories, it's usually some kind of dysfunction between a guy and a gal in their relationship. But this one I thought was very important, as it really, affected me. I thought that this was something that I should immediately address, because I don't want this guy killing himself, and I think I can give him some helpful advice and insight. So my mom and her boyfriend, abused me. So this is no surprise. I think it's something like, if you are a child in a household with a step-parent, you're 30, I think it's more like 40 times more likely. You're 40 times more likely to be abused by a step-parent than you are a biological parent. That's huge. 40 times more likely. And of course, the mom is just following along because, of course, like any good woman, yeah, I'm sure she's a good woman. She follows the lead of her child abusing boyfriend. Yeah, that's such a good woman. Yeah. Cares more about this dude than her son. So my mom and her boyfriend abused me to no end, and I'm full of hate and rage and sadness all the fucking time. All right. I don't know how old you are. It'd be nice if you told us. But I would get out. Actually, I would call, if you're underage, so if you're 18 or over, it's much more straightforward what you can do in this kind of abusive household. You can leave. Now, you might say, well, where am I going to go? I'm only 18. I have no skills, thanks to our wonderful public education system, which is designed specifically not to give me skills, so I'll have to rely on the government to run my life. What am I going to do? Well, this is not the most ideal option, but there are options. There's homeless shelters. I know that's not a great option, but there are also, I believe, group homes or homeless shelters specifically for young people to get on their feet that give you more private housing, maybe a room with a roommate, more of the comforts of home, the ability to shower and watch TV and relax and be able to save up money, get a job, save up money so you can then get your own apartment. There are programs out there as a young person that you can avail yourself of. Now, if you're underage, that's a little more problematic, but you can call Child Protective Services. Yeah, these places really love to fucking interfere. This is one of the few positives of government overreach and having big government. They have their hand in every fucking cookie jar, and they love to interfere in the lives of families. So, if you spank your kid, which I don't agree with violence, but, I don't think spanking your kid is a legitimate reason to take kids away from a parent, though it's wrong. But they'll snatch that kid right the fuck out of there. You don't want to indulge your child's fantasy of being a Wayman? Wham! We're going to snatch your kid out of that house. So, yeah. One of the very few positives of having such a huge government is that they're very proactive when it comes to child abuse. So call Child Protective Services, tell them what's going on, have a little foresight, maybe even use your cell phone to film some of this. Don't be obvious about it. Get a shirt that has a front pocket that you would put like pens in, and then just put your phone in that with the camera lens facing out and have it recording. And it just looks like you're carrying your phone around and they don't know it's recording. Maybe you'll be able to record your parents abusing you, and then you've got real factual evidence right there. Usually your word is enough. If you have bruises, even better proof. If you have video, that's even better still. But usually they'll take your word for it. So I would call Child Protective Services yourself if you're underage. Now, I know that is not the most ideal option either, because they'll put you into the foster system. But, the fucked up foster system, you might, get lucky and get yourself some foster parents that are not, pedo degenerate scum. It's better than where you are. Okay? Anyway, I want to die so badly, but I can't because I love my little sister. But even that sucks because she'll never defend me or stand up for me. Well, okay, first of all, she's a girl. Okay, so they're weaker. They're more easily cowed than a male. And she's grown up in the same dysfunctional, abusive household as you have. So she's just as cowed and submissive as you are. So expecting your younger sister to stand up for you is highly unrealistic. She's not dumb. She knows what's up. She knows if she speaks up and stands up for you, she'll get cracked in the fucking mouth. So you can't rely on her to protect you, okay? In fact, it should be your job to protect her, all right? But if she's your younger sister, how old is she? So I hate myself for even expecting it of her. She's only 16. So he could be 17 or maybe 18 or older. He's not telling us. I'll assume he's over 18. So what I would recommend is you pack your shit. All right. Well, first go online and search for youth hostels, youth housing, abused child housing. Call social services. There's plenty of social welfare programs, which I don't like or agree with. I think that in the private sector, if people were allowed to keep their own money, charity would do the job much better. But since these programs do exist and they are taxpayer funded, you might as well avail yourself of them. So I would contact social services. I would tell them your problem, let them know your age. There might be special programs, special housing for kids who want to escape. Okay? For kids who want to escape abusive households, they certainly have enough of that kind of housing for abused women. It's very interesting, isn't it? There's very little housing for abused children, but they've got plenty of housing for abused women, even though women who are abused chose the man they're with, chose the abusive, drug-using, alcoholic asshole, and they're adults. Meanwhile, the child is a pure victim, had no choice in the matter, and is a child, but there's far less help available for him or her, well, as children, than the grown Wayman. Of course, they're wanting to court the grown Wayman's vote, so, yeah. But it is very interesting how little protection we afford our children, how little concern we afford them. Meanwhile, you got all these vegans running around bitching and moaning about sheep getting killed for, their meat. You're shoring that sheep. It's so traumatic. How dare you put a bolt gun into that pig's head and eat its meat? Meanwhile, you got kids suffering and being abused. Human children. Well, we don't care. We only have empathy for animals. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So interesting, the disconnect between adults these days and our society's own actual human children. You would think those would be the ones you would care most about. Think again. No. Rats and dogs and mice and fucking chimpanzees are more important, apparently. But God, I stand up for every time. Well, you're older. That's your job. You're a man and you're older. So there are going to be options. I would go online. I would do research. I would Google abused children shelters, abused young adult shelters, things like that. I would literally, I would call a state social worker. They'll have a long list of both state-funded and private-funded organizations that can offer you some kind of help and support, might even enable you to move out of there, okay? Now, unfortunately, you couldn't take your sister with you because she's only 16, but guess what? It's better than you blowing your fucking head off, okay? It's better than you hanging yourself and then your sister, when she hits 18, she has no brother, okay? You got to save yourself, man. You got to look after yourself and save yourself in this world, okay? Unfortunately, your sister ain't old enough to move out, and her safety is her responsibility for the most part. Now, she's underage, and you are her older brother, so it is good and right that you look after her, but not to the exclusion of your own well-being. That's called altruism. Sacrificing your own self and well-being for others. That's the hallmark of a communist mindset. You want to do away with that. Get yourself out of there. Save yourself, because then when you do that, you'll be able to save her when she turns 18. You're not going to be able to save anybody in the shape you are in now, okay? So he goes on to say, God, I stand up for every time. I used to believe in God, but how can there be a God when the world is so fucked like this? When my life is so fucked up. Well, first of all, you don't have to believe in God to believe in and understand objective moral truth and morality in itself, okay? I used to love the concept of Jesus and God, and I'd pray every day because it felt so nice to know that someone out there loved you no matter what. I don't know that that's necessarily such a good thing. I mean, where's the motivation to grow? I mean, if you're an evil, horrible person and people don't like you, well, you've got some motivation to change and become better. But if you've got this crutch that you can fall back on, hey, at least God loves me, well, then you don't have that much motivation to change. Even if you're a broken, ugly thing. See what I mean? Yeah. So I can get to stay a broken, ugly thing. But what use is this love if you still have to suffer? Okay. What do you think? Life is heaven? Do you think the world is heaven? Life is a large heap of suffering. It builds character. It teaches us about how reality actually is, and it makes us strong. I guarantee you that if you don't kill yourself and don't cop out and take the coward's way out, that in the future you'll be much stronger for it. I mean, if you don't become a basket case and let it destroy you, which a lot of people do. But you can take lemons and make fucking lemonade, yo. I mean, look, you don't have to be destroyed by this kind of abuse, okay? You can weather it, and you can survive it, and you can be stronger for it. If you're over 18, you can get out. You do have control over your own life. See, a lot of young people who experience this kind of abuse, they embrace a feeling of hopelessness, like they can't really do anything with their lives or improve their lot in life, and they just get caught in this self-destructive cycle of self-recrimination and negative branding that continues to repeat in their head, which was implanted there, NPC style, by their abusive parents, constantly telling them they're no good, they'll never make it, they'll never get anywhere. You got to break this pattern. You got to break this cycle. And the first thing you have to do to break that cycle is get out of that fucking house. You're not going to heal your fucking burn if you're fucking still getting burned. You got to get out of the situation that's burning you before healing can occur. So do what I said. Contact social services, search the internet, be creative, use as many different keywords as possible in regards to hostels, homeless shelters, shelters for abused youth. Contact social services, look into charities. I don't know where you are. You're more likely to find these kind of programs in a big city than in a rural place, but there are going to be private charities probably. Or if you can't find those on your own, the social services social worker will have access to that kind of information because it's supposedly their job to help you. Yeah. Oh, my. And if you want to, get back at your parents, or you don't want to take the route of, right, but that at the same time, you're overage, but not your sister. See, you can also get your sister out of there by contacting Child Protective Services. You or probably overage. You say she's 16, you're older. I mean, unless it's just a 1 year age difference, you're an adult. Since you didn't tell us that, I'm going to assume you're an adult. That's a good way you can protect your sister. You get yourself out of there while at the same time, before you leave, record the abuse that's going on. Even if you don't film, even if you don't have film of her being directly abused by them, your parents, you can have film of them abusing you. And that, in the mind of a social worker, in the eyes of the Child Protective Services, is more than enough grounds for them to take her out of what would be considered a violent, dangerous situation and put her in foster care. Okay? Now, I know there's lots of rumors and innuendo and just straight up, horror stories about the foster care system, but look at where she is now. She's definitely being abused and harmed where she is now. I mean, at least you have the chance of her getting into a foster home where she's not abused, okay? So she's definitely getting fucked up now. So the odds are on your side in regards to getting her out of there into foster care, okay? So that's what I would do. And as for killing yourself, that's not only the coward's way out, but it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, okay? You're very, very young. You got your whole life ahead of you, all right? You seem like a relatively intelligent young man. There are many things you could do in life, many things you could be. You could join the military. You could become a cop. They don't even require that much out of you to be a cop. High school fucking diploma. You can breathe. You can run, so you can get through the police academy. They don't really require much out of you, and you make a pretty good salary, okay? There's a lot of fucking things you could do just as an 18-year-old. And yeah, you can become a cop at 18. But there's so many things you could do. There's so many skills you could learn. You just have to get yourself out of that demoralizing, depressing, abusive situation so that you can get into a better mindset and start the process of healing yourself and making yourself a better human being. That's the best way you can protect your sister, is protecting yourself so that you're still there and still alive to advocate for her. And then you contact Child Protective Services, show them whatever evidence you have them get in contact with her when your parents aren't around, okay? And then she can tell them the skinny of what's going on. And if she lies to protect her parents, you're off the hook, pal, okay? You can't protect somebody who doesn't want to protect themselves, okay? You cannot protect someone more. You cannot look out for someone more than they can look out for themselves. You cannot be asked to care more about someone than they care about themselves, okay? It would be sad. It would be tragic. It would mean that she was so enthralled to their power and so, so conditioned mentally to fear them. A form of Stockholm syndrome will have set in if she actually protects them and doesn't tell the truth to the social worker. But if that happens, that's her choice. Okay? Yeah, it's unfortunate that it happened to her, but that's reality. You can only do so much. Beyond the maximum you can do, you can't do any more. And if you try, you're just going to be sacrificing yourself. And yeah, you probably would end up dead. That doesn't serve anybody. Anyhow, let me know what you think out there, guys, about how common this is. I think that child abuse is really one of the key factors that leads to fucked up, dysfunctional, violent, sociopathic, psychotic, and criminal behavior. Because in most cases, evil people are not born. They're made. Now, some people can have a predisposition based upon their makeup, but it is their environment that affects that predisposition and pushes them one way or another. But let me know what you think in the comment section of this video, and please like and subscribe to my BitChute channel if you haven't already. And again, if you really like and appreciate my red pill content, please consider making a donation by going to therealistphilosopher.com/donate. I could really use your help.